Okay, so here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, please do smash the subscribe button. And if you want to become a paid member, it allows you to be able to be involved in these live chats and to have your say. Hit the join button and join our growing base or community of supporters who support BWTM. Just hit the join button and you can get the perks of being a member of BWTM Sports. Let's get on with the show. Okay, so the story has just broken, or it's come out, that Andy Ruiz and Manny Robles are no longer the double act. In other words, Andy Ruiz and his trainer have split. Well, is this surprising in boxing? Not really. When it's all going swimmingly well and you're winning fights, nobody asks any questions. But when there's a loss, and it's a bad loss, very few are going to say these words. If anybody who thinks I should leave my trainer is a clown, you know what I mean? I've been with his trainer since day dot. So, you know what I mean? That's loyalty. One of the team, you know? It's family to me. You know what I mean? Without him, I wouldn't be anything in boxing. Not everyone will come out with lines like that or summarize like that. Most fighters, when it's all goes pear-shaped, they don't take accountability for their own actions and will look to blame the trainer, the corner man, will even blame the person who cleans the gym out as to why they lost the fight. You find this in a lot of fighters that do not accept the blame and do not accept accountability, and they'll move from trainer to trainer to trainer to trainer and say it was always the trainer's fault, not because they have a glass jaw or because they can't stick to a game plan or because they're too damn stubborn and they won't listen and want to do their own thing, or they want to be the boss in the training camp. You know, these things don't help in terms of why you've employed a trainer, and some trainers not going to put up with the nonsense. So that's why you get rifts and issues in training camps and within, you know, within boxing dynamics between trainer and fighter. You know, some trainers can stick around for the 10, the 15, the 20%. Do you understand? And they'll stick around for that. And some people will say, you know what? I don't care how much percentage this guy's is a complete idiot or she's a complete idiot. I'm not sticking around. I've had this training camp is the last training camp we're doing because they're too disrespectful. They don't listen. They're not learning, and I'm not putting my reputation on the line for their and their ignorance, regardless how much money you've been paid. And I've heard trainers say that as well. So it can go both ways. So Manny Robles says he could see it coming, but I'm going to bring up something that somebody said to me, said a few times to me, and they often say to me, "Oh, Ingram, why is it when you do your videos you go so in depth?" Well, here's my answer to you who listens to my videos. The reason why I go in depth is because not just am I just somebody who sits behind the keyboard and just talks about a sport, but I've had immense success in sport. Maybe not in boxing, but I've had immense success from grassroots level right through up to international level in another sport. And it's been working with people, working with individuals, and taking them from nothing into becoming something. Taking a person that wants to play for their county and at the beginning probably can't hold a bat and can't bowl a ball, and now they're representing their county. You know, if I could take you to places where 10, 15 years ago I set things up as a young person, now they're grown up and got kids and they're still at that same club and they're running things at the club and probably the best player at the club or the captain of the club. 10 years on at two different clubs. So I leave behind, when I do work, I leave legacy behind. Do you understand? So I'm not just talking codswallop. And for you to get that sort of success and to cultivate that sort of success out of different individuals or teams, you have to be able to be a deep thinker. You have to take time to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of each player, to break them down. And sometimes you're looking at something, there might be a technical issue, and sometimes you have to break that pattern down as to why they got into that position. Maybe a habit they may have got into with their feet or with their hands, and you have to break that down and correct that habit over a period of time, which means you have to think about it. So there'll be nights I'll be sitting down in my bed and thinking about that particular player and thinking to myself, why are they having that problem, or how are we going to overcome that problem? It could be a mental thing. It could be a fact that they don't perform when they have to play a match, but they can perform in the practice net. So I'll say, okay, right, we need to change some things around dynamics to change the mentality of the particular player. In boxing, we have a situation where you have fighters that can perform on the night, and some fighters perform better in the gym. You understand? They're called gym fighters. So when the person said to me, why don't you think more, why do you think so deeply about things? It's because that's the way I'm wired, and that's why I've had great success from. Bearing in mind, the person that said it, if they thought a little deeper about how they handle people around them, they may not be in the positions that they're in today. And it is what it is. So, yeah, so deep thinking does help, and particularly with this situation here with Andy Ruiz and his situation there. But I want to take you back. I want to take you back to when Andy Ruiz was about to fight Anthony Joshua, and the build-up I told you and how the fight would go. And Andy Ruiz, I said back then, Andy Ruiz, you've got to go back. Fighters fight in patterns, but mentally, Ruiz's makeup. Remember, he was with Abel Sanchez, and he left Abel Sanchez, and he left boxing because the media were getting on top of him and calling him a fat boy, right? The media and people across Twitter were horrible to Andy Ruiz, said he was fat boy, and he couldn't handle it. So he went and worked on a construction site with his father. That's what happened to Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz came back into boxing, right? He went for depression, came back into boxing. And I said the night he was fighting Anthony Joshua, be careful, because you clowns out there, you people that are hating on Andy Ruiz, are the guys that are creating a monster Andy Ruiz who's going to come out and beat, and he's got every chance of beating Anthony Joshua. And you saw the most devastating performance by the fat boy, okay? And he became heavyweight champion of the world. And for that moment in time, all those people that were hating on Andy Ruiz, even his biggest critics couldn't criticize him for the way he knocked over Hercules that night. So now we have this situation. I go back to that to say this. Andy Ruiz got himself up and wanted to prove the doubters wrong to become heavyweight champion of the world after being called a fat boy. He became the heavyweight champion of the world. Now, I'm going back mentally to think about this guy, Andy Ruiz. So, I hear Denise in the comment section saying he needs a disciplinarian. You know, the first disciplinarian starts with yourself. You know, there's a lot of self-care issues there with Andy Ruiz. Does he really care for himself? Does he really value himself in the world? And I have to ask this question because most people here will just talk, oh, Andy Ruiz has left his trainer, he's going to get another trainer, he can get Freddie Roach, and he can get this person, get that person. But before you get to that point, you still are talking about a fighter and a person. And you have to ask yourself the question of Andy Ruiz's makeup. If Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha were in the room with him, and Hare Krishna were in the room with him, and we're all training him, right? And Andy Ruiz don't want to listen, he ain't going to listen. Manny Robles stood by him, and he became champion with Manny Robles, okay? So he became champion with him. What is it in Andy Ruiz that he was able to switch off completely, ignore his trainer, and run himself into the ground and party up and do all the stuff that he did? Was it the fact that he looked back at the time where he was being hated upon so much by the fans and by the media, and he's a fat boy, and he thought, you know what, I'm a fat boy. Well, fat boy's going to enjoy himself now. And really that money that he took was destructive. Do you understand, to him? And when you're self-destructive and you self-sabotage, when you've got money, it's like when you give money to a fool, he's always going to be a fool. When you give money to a fool, he's always going to be a fool. You know, if you put a crown on the head of a fool, he's still a fool. Do you understand? So if Andy Ruiz's mentality is one to self-destruct, then regardless, when he got that money, what you saw of Andy Ruiz, he could have been imploding. Meaning that He was so out of control, the extremes of spending and eating to such an extreme that again, that may be psychological and emotional issues right there. And if those things are not checked, then it don't matter who's training him. He will run. He'll go off the. He'll go off again. We have to look at Andy Ruiz and say, well, okay, fine. Will he ever be the guy that fought that night and beat Anthony Joshua? Will we ever see that Andy Ruiz again in the boxing ring? Will we ever see that fighter again? He had something to fight for that night. Now he's secured his mum, living in a nice house, got a car. He may not have to fight again. The reasons why he came back to fight might not be the reasons now that continue his career. And if that ambition has gone, then you're looking at a shell of a fighter. So that's a question you have to ask yourself. So even if you put him with the best trainer in the world, if he's not prepared to put that work in and lose that weight, and weight is not just physical, it's mental and emotional. Do you understand? Because if the fans were enough to deter him to leave the sport of boxing, and go on a construction site to work with his dad, and it was so hurtful, he said he gave up on the sport of boxing. This is just, remember, before he fought Anthony Joshua, and he fought that, what's his name again? Not Dimitrenko. All right, the Dimitrenko fight, came back, fought Dimitrenko, and then he had the Joshua fight, back to back. And he wasn't in great shape when he fought Dimitrenko, remember? And then when he fought Joshua, he wasn't in great shape either. But he was just terrible when he looked against Joshua in the rematch. So if you've already climbed that mountain, if you've already climbed that mountain top and you've been to the mountain top and he's seen the light, does he want to climb up to the mountain top again? And if so, when he climbs up to the mountain top this time, what's he taking up there with him? So the question is, why did they allow him to get out of control in the first place? Why didn't the people at PBC step in and say, yo, you know what? We need to keep an eye on this guy. Why did they all step back and watch him implode like that? Why didn't? You know, are you blame? Is the trainer to blame? Is Manny Robles to blame? Did he say, I talked to Andy, but you know what? Andy's his own man. I got my 10%. I got my money. As long as my family are cool, I don't care. Or was there more to it than that? Who knows? I don't know. But what I do know is that we'll stick him with a new trainer, he'll be okay. That's not going to solve the problem. If Andy Ruiz if he doesn't accept it within himself that there are issues that he needs to deal with, and he cannot afford to allow himself to get into that kind of shape again and allow to put on that sort of performance again. If that performance against Anthony Joshua is acceptable in his mindset, if it's acceptable and it's a standard within his mindset, never mind what the fans think, never mind what his trainer thinks, if he finds that performance against Anthony Joshua acceptable, and he in himself saying, you know what, it don't matter, at the end of the day, you know, I was world champion, they can never take that away from me, you know, and yeah, I'm putting a bad performance against Anthony Joshua, but hey, what, I mean, I got money, I got paid, I got my house, I got my car, my kids are good, and my wife's good, my child's good, and my family's good, so screw them, I don't care. They call me a fat boy then, but look who's the fat boy now, yeah, man. If he's got that sort of approach, and he's taken that sort of attitude moving forward, and he says, man, I've been unified champion of the world, man. I beat Anthony Joshua, man, who had his six-pack, and he had muscles, man, and I beat him, man, I beat him good, man. If his mind is still on that first fight, and he hasn't got over that first fight mentally, and that second fight he just checked out, that fight just didn't matter. If he's got that sort of attitude, if he's got that sort of behaviour, then I'm afraid to say we've seen the best of Andy Ruiz. You know, so part of a trainer, there's a difference between a boxing trainer, right, and a mentor. There's a very big difference. Big difference. Don Charles, Tunde Jai, they're trainers and mentors. All right? Customato. These are guys that go beyond just holding some pads and telling you throw a 1-2 or making to move around the ring or get you sparring. These are the type of guys, and I add in my old trainer, Ronnie Rush, trainer of Steve Robinson and Barry Jones, both world champions, by the way. When you've got a trainer who's a mentor, who just does more than hold pads or get you into shape, a guy that will go that extra mile, who will, my trainer was a complete so and so. Ronnie Rush, oh, he was terrible. When I call about, but he was a mentor. He's the kind of guy that, you know, you're going to the toilet and he's outside the toilet door asking you how long you're going to be in the toilet. That's the kind of trainer he was. Well, that ain't nothing to do with boxing, but he's just making sure. You know, if I'm at work, he's running up into work to see that I'm clocking off on time at work. Do you understand? That I'm going to be in the gym on time. It's going that step further. You know, the trainer is literally living in your bedroom with you. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that step further. That's the difference between a trainer who give you some pad work and say go home. He's working with you outside the ring, outside the gym. That's the difference. And that's the sort of person that Andy Ruiz needs. That's the sort of person that Andy Ruiz needs. Say, look, yo, son, that's not right. You shouldn't be doing that. You know, sort of guy will turn up to you, he's partying up in the night. He's around. Yeah, man, we did it. Trainer walks into the party, flicks the lights out. Say, enough. Andy, we're going home. That kind of trainer, that kind of mentor. You know, them kind of trainers, you only see that they don't exist really in the Rocky movies. No, there are other trainers that do. They go over and beyond for fighters. They get hurt the most. Yeah, but they go over and beyond. And it's that kind of trainer, that kind of mentor is what Andy Ruiz really needs. So he's going to give him a bit of love and say, yo, you're a fat boy, but you're a goddamn fat boy. Do you get what I'm saying? That he'll use those words, but to empower Andy Ruiz. This is not a case of a fighter that I believe, from what I've seen of Andy Ruiz, is somebody who's going to just get fit and fight. I just don't think so. I think he's going to need some mentoring, I think. Teddy Atlas, flip's sake. Teddy Atlas is one of the most abusive people I've ever seen in boxing. He's abusive. If Teddy Atlas is abusive. Teddy Atlas is abusive. Abusive. I heard that somebody told me a story of how Povetkin punched him in his face at the airport, chinned him at the airport, and walked off. That's what I heard a story of. Teddy Atlas is abusive. Anybody who thinks Teddy Atlas is a hero needs to seriously look at themselves. Teddy Atlas got in the ring and was embarrassing Michael Moore in front of everybody. That's not trainer. That's embarrassing. Do you want me to call your son? Or do you really got on the front? People say that's a motivation. That's not motivating. That's not motivating. Angela Dundee. That's motivating. 14th round. Sugar Ray Leonard's on his stool and he's behind on points by Thomas Hearns, right? Going into the 14th round, yeah? And then he turns around and he said to him, you're blowing it, son. You're blowing it. Or Emmanuel Stewart, when he turned around to Klitschko, I think he slapped Klitschko in his face. He slapped Klitschko. He told him, or he pushed him against Eddie Chambers. He pushed him up against the post when Klitschko was in the corner and told him, hey, go knock this guy out now. And then when Manny Stewart was talking to Lennox Lewis, and he was pushing up on Lennox saying, Lennox, get this goddamn guy out of there. When he was talking like that, you understand? That's the difference between an average trainer, a great trainer, seizing the moment and making those changes and being able to make the changes. I don't know how much control Manny Robles had of Andy Ruiz. You understand? I don't know. I really don't know how much control he had. I'm not a Teddy Atlas fan. I think he's highly overrated. Highly overrated. Garbage. I mean, okay, we want to be a Teddy Atlas. I mean, who's he really trained? Really trained. Oh, you did stuff for Michael Moore. Look how much he abused Michael Moore in the end. Look what happened to Michael Moore. He went to end up getting knocked out by George Foreman. Man, listen. And I blame Teddy Atlas for that. What can you blame Teddy Atlas for? Very simple. If you keep grinding a man down, eventually that man's gonna stop. That man's spirit will break eventually. I mean, Teddy Atlas, I'm sorry, that old school way of trainer, and actually I actually detest trainers like that. He don't learn anything. He's thick as two planks of wood. He is. I taught him how to throw the left jab and throw the left hook. He keeps letting me get caught with left hook all the time. You can't stand him. He can't. That guy's he's useless. That guy. I told him to double the jab and throw the freaking right hand. He can't double the jab and throw right hand for shit. See them sort of trainers? Them sort of trainers are pure poison. Pure poison. Yeah, what do you mean by that, Ingram? That's because they come from a land, and they come from a world where my way or the highway. But the problem with my way or the highway, if your highway or your way is a very limited way, very stiff and very strict and very no creativity, and you can only do things one way. Like all your fighters fight the same way, chin in the air, walking forward in straight lines, and all getting knocked out. Well, I told him to box that way. You see, he didn't do it. It's why I wanted to do it. But all your fighters are getting knocked chin the same way. That's not saying something about the fight. It's saying something about you as a coach. Do you understand? And there's a lot of them coaches floating around in boxing. A lot of them. I'm not. I use the Cockney accent there. That's just being a bit stereotypical. But there's a lot of them coaches out there. A lot of them. A lot of them. And they do more damage to a fight than good to a fight. And think about this for a second. Just for a second. At the highest end of sport, it's probably about 90% mental, only 10% physical. Think about it. Mentally, you can be fit all you want, but if you mentally fall apart, it don't matter how physically strong you are, you're done. You need to be mentally focused and switched on. Your ring walk, getting in ring, sticking to the game plan, being able to make adjustments on the fly, getting hit with a shot going down, staying composed. That's all mental strength. So I mean, you know, there's a difference between foolishness and a trainer say, "Yo, don't play the fool with me in my camp." There's that, and there's destructive talk. I do not subscribe to, if I speak negative to you, I'll get positive results. No, if you speak positive to me, you'll get positive results. I just don't believe in that. I don't think it works. Oh, well, I get the best out of him when I talk shit about him. No, it don't work that way. I'm sorry. You might work for a little while, but eventually, because that's mentally in someone's mind, you're making them feel like crap all the time. So I don't buy into it. I'm going a little bit off tether at the moment. I'm going to come back to this Andy Ruiz situation. So okay, he splits with Manny Robles. What now? Oh yeah, just stick him with another trainer. Well, all right. To do what? You've got to first find out what Randy Ruiz's belief system is now as a fighter. What do you believe? Do you believe that you can do better than that fight against Anthony Joshua? Or are you still living off of that fight? Some people just live in the memory of that fight. And he says, well, you know, it's just a bad night at the office, man. So you'll tell the easiest way to tell the remedias, like, oh, you know, man, oh no, it wasn't my day. You know, I ate too much. I trained myself. I couldn't shift the weight in time. And then it sounds pitiful. But really, he might be behind closed doors. He might be weeping. Behind closed doors, he might be, it don't matter, man. I got my money. I'm looking after my family. I don't give a shit about anything else. You know, so really and truly, boxing fans, you know, PBC are to blame. Yes. Manny Robles is to blame. How much control did he have? Would this have happened under Abel Sanchez? Would Abel Sanchez have allowed Andy Ruiz to roll into camp like that? I don't think Abel Sanchez would have allowed it. Yeah, they do. Then that's what I'm saying to you. People do get fed up with it, and they get turned off by it. That's why. How many guys has Teddy Atlas worked with? All the talk Teddy Atlas. How many guys Teddy Atlas has worked with and stayed with? Shannon Briggs got rid of him. Povetkin got rid of him. You saw what happened to Michael Moore. Look at Michael Moore now. Guy's on drugs. I believe he's on drugs. I don't know if he's rehabilitated now, but he had a serious issue with drugs. You know, and people say he was pretty messed up. And I love Double M, but he had serious issues. And I would blame Atlas for some of that, because of the crap Atlas was talking. Do you understand? So I don't know. It can make a person very vengeful, very bitter, very twisted. So whilst some people might find it's theatre, and even talk about firemen, he didn't last long with Timothy Bradley, did he? And I said that Timothy Bradley would perform worse with Teddy Atlas. Blasted fireman. What the hell's fireman got to do with boxing? You just got dropped. You just got dropped by Manny Pacquiao, and it's not about the fighter. He's in the corner and he's cheerleading in the corner. You just got dropped hard by Manny Pacquiao. You get back to your corner and Teddy Atlas is screaming to the top of his voice about fireman. What? You need time to clear your head and clear instruction. You've got 30 seconds. Look, son, you got knocked down. Cool. All right. You need to circle the ring, get close, tie Pacquiao up, or circle him, get close, use the jab, don't engage, something. No, fireman. Or, do you want me to call your mum? Do you want me to get in the ring and fight for you? That's because the trainer himself is limited. Who would I like to see Andy Ruiz go with? First of all, I certainly don't want him with Virgil Hunter. No. Virgil Hunter, no. Virgil Hunter's, he's cool, and he's calm, and he's relaxed, and he's yeah. No, you don't need that. You need someone who's going to put a good rocket up his ass. But the rocket has to go up his ass, but Andy's got to understand that rocket is good up his ass. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He needs to know that, my trainer's good for me, man. I like my trainer. I get on with my trainer. Now, is he going to go to Robert Garcia's gym? Because if he goes to Robert Garcia's gym, he'll continue fighting with his face. He used to work with Freddie Roach before, yeah? Did he used to fight with Freddie Roach? Freddie Roach is going to teach him attack, but I don't know. Is Freddie Roach good? I'd like to see flipping some new trainers on the scene, man. The same old, same old. Who would you have, Andy? Ronnie Shields might be not bad for Andy Ruiz. I'll always say, whoever the heavyweight is, I'd always say, Bashir or McKinley. Stacey McKinley or Bashir, any of those guys. Mainly McKinley at the moment because McKinley is actually fit and good to go. Do you understand? And Bashir's still recovering from the injury. So Stacey McKinley would be perfect for him. Stacey McKinley works with heavyweights. He knows how to produce heavyweight champions. He knows about strength and conditioning. He knows he's got a history of producing world champions. So if anybody could take Andy Ruiz back to the top of the heavyweight division, it'd be Stacey McKinley. You might not like him as a person, but can he get the job done? Yeah, hell, he'll get the job done. Any of them old school trainers, and I've just kind of contradicted myself there, but if you look at the list of champions that McKinley's got, he's obviously doing something right there. Then look at the list of champions that Teddy Atlas has produced. And talk to me about them. I'm not talking about people he's worked with. I'm talking about people he's produced as champions. That he's worked with from day one, day dot. No. So yeah, I'd like to see. So Andy Ruiz has got a few questions to ask of himself before sticking him up with any trainer. I mean, we may have seen the best of Andy Ruiz. We all feared of Andy Ruiz to be another Buster Douglas. And our fears were realised in that fight. So, as for Andy Ruiz, I don't know. But I think Andy Ruiz has to look at himself first. He could be like George Groves. Everything for a reason. George Groves left Adam Booth. Then he went to Paddy. Then he left Paddy. And then Woody Joy for Paddy. And then he went to, what's his name? McGuigan. What do you do with McGuigan? Oh, he won a world title against who? I can't remember the guy he won the world title off. And he got flattened by Froch. I mean, yeah, he blamed the trainer for him getting knocked out. He blamed this person. He blamed that nobody. Not the fact that he's got a problem with his chin, and the fact that his style being flat-footed with his arms, his hand down by his side, it leaves him vulnerable to getting caught with a right hand. He's not David Haye. Nothing to do with that. All to do with the fact that it was the trainer. I don't know. So I just don't like to see it in boxing. I really don't like to see it in boxing. So, do I think White v Ruiz will happen? No, because I think Hearn's full of shit. Pardon my French for swearing, I think he's full of shit. I think he's just trying to get off the back of Ruiz because he's had that big fight with Joshua. What I really think will happen is they're going to snuck Povetkin in. They'll get old boy Povetkin in. That's what I think is going to happen. Old boy Povetkin will get slipped in. And Chudinov, yeah, there we go. Like if you care about Chudinov, I know it's Chudinov. I can see White fighting Povetkin. Parker's got a fight now again. Parker's fighting somebody now as well. Yeah, but I'll talk about Joseph Parker when I come back with Tyson Fury. Definitely gonna talk about that. Tyson's proper funny. I'm gonna enjoy doing the Tyson video. So it's a bit long, a bit drawn out, this video, but as you can see, I don't think it's just as simple as giving Andy Ruiz a trainer and letting him go. There has some serious questions to be asked now of Andy Ruiz. Where are you, son? What's your state of mind? And where do you want to go from here? And how do you think you're going to become heavyweight champion of the world again? And why do you want to become heavyweight champion of the world again? If it's just for money, forget it. I don't want to train you. There's actually to restore or to have some pride or to, you want to be on top, you made a mistake, then fine. Oh yeah, Parker versus Vac, yeah. That's a typical Eddie Hearn special, that is. Yeah, that's a typical Eddie Hearn special. Yeah, Povetkin versus White. Povetkin versus White, definitely. And then I could see a fight between... I could see Andy Ruiz versus Michael Hunter. I could see that fight happening. Yeah, it's Eddie Hearn in it. That's how Eddie Hearn does. That's how Eddie Hearn rolls. That's how he rolls. Look what he did with Ortiz. Look at the crap he did with Ortiz. Look at the garbage he did with Jarrell Miller. That's how Eddie Hearn works. That's how he rolls, man. That's how he rolls. Why is he gonna give anybody anything decent when he's got the heavyweight champion of the world? Don't you get it? I don't know why people love to go on side with Eddie Hearn. I don't get it. I don't understand, but obviously they think that he's going to give them some platform to do something. Yeah, platform to fight bums on. That's it. And he'll get at the who cares? Who cares who you fight? So he just destroys your profile. There's nothing to boost your profile. It just destroys your profile. Look what he did with Ortiz. Ortiz was ranked #1 in the world at one point. He was at the WBA interim championship. So he ends up fighting Dave Allen and he just finished beating what's his name, Jennings. He fights Dave Allen and Malik Scott. Come on, man. This is what Eddie Hearn does. Then look at Danny Jacobs. I know you got the fight against Canelo, but who cares about Danny Jacobs? Can you honestly tell me that Danny Jacobs' profile has grown since he's been with Hearn? Really? Come on. Who's next? What other international fight he's got? Okay, Povetkin. Well, how's Povetkin's platform changed? What do we know more about Povetkin now? He beat Hughie Fury, and yeah, so now he fought against Hunter. So, do you understand what I'm saying? Come on, man. He's the best. He's the best promoter in the world. Come on, man. People say, "Oh, you hate Hearn." It's not I hate Hearn. I just can't be dealing with the unrealistic, the garbage. I mean, if there wasn't a Don King around, if there wasn't a Bob Arum around, do you understand? Those guys didn't exist, and those promoters weren't around back then. Al Heyman wasn't around. Then yeah, I'd say yeah, Hearn's a bad man. But when you talk about them guys, Lou DiBella, when you start talking about them guys, and main events, when you start talking about them people, and the fights they've put on through the years, you know what I mean? No, I don't either. I don't either. I don't either. Understand? I don't either. I like the way Al Heyman does his bit. I like Al Heyman. I like Bob Arum, but you just got to see where Bob's coming from. I like Don King, but Don King's he is the man when it comes to boxing promotion. You know what I mean? So maybe not so much now because Don's got, But yeah. All right. When I come back, I'm gonna do a video on Mr. Fury. the ever changing picture of Tyson Fury. I'll be back.